Bel and the Dragon, a modern English rendering. When King Astyages passed away to join his ancestors, Cyrus the Persian took over his kingdom. Daniel was a close advisor to the king and was held in higher honor than any of the king's other friends. At that time, the Babylonians had an idol named Bel. Every day they provided it with 12 large measures of high-quality flour, 40 sheep, and 6 containers of wine. The king worshipped the idol and went every day to bow before it. But Daniel continued to worship his own God. The king asked him, "Why don't you worship Bel?" Daniel answered, "Because I do not worship idols made by human hands. I worship the living God, who created heaven and earth and has authority over all living things." The king replied, "Don't you think Bel is a living God? Can't you see how much he eats and drinks every single day?" Daniel smiled and said, "Don't be fooled, your majesty. This idol is only clay on the inside and bronze on the outside. It has never actually eaten or drunk anything." This made the king furious. He summoned his priests and told them, "If you cannot tell me who is consuming all these expensive offerings, you will be put to death. But if you can prove to me that Bel is the one eating them, then Daniel must die because he has insulted Bel." Daniel agreed, saying, "Let it be done exactly as you have said." There were 70 priests of Bel, not counting their wives and children. The king and Daniel went together into the temple of Bel. The priests of Bel said, "Watch, we're going to step outside, your majesty. You set out the food and prepare the wine yourself. Then shut the door tightly and seal it with your own signet ring. Tomorrow morning when you return, if you find that Bel has not eaten everything, we will face death. Otherwise, Daniel, who is lying about us, shall be the one to die." They were not worried, however, because they had built a secret entrance under the table. They used it regularly to come in and consume the offerings. After the priests left, the king set the food before Bel. Daniel then ordered his servants to bring ashes, which they scattered across the entire floor of the temple, while only the king was watching. After this, they left, shut the door, sealed it with the king's signet, and went on their way. During the night, the priests came with their wives and children, as they usually did, and they ate and drank every bit of the offerings. Early the next morning, the king got up, and Daniel went with him to the temple. The king asked, "Daniel, are the seals still intact?" Daniel replied, "Yes, your majesty, they are unbroken." As soon as the door was open, the king looked at the empty table and shouted, "You are great, O Bel! There is no trickery in you at all." But Daniel laughed and held the king back so he wouldn't step inside. "Look at the floor," Daniel said. "Pay close attention. Whose footprints are these?" The king looked and said, "I see the footprints of men, women, and children." Then the king became furious. The king seized the priests along with their wives and children. They were forced to show him the secret doors they used to enter the temple and consume the offerings on the table. Consequently, the king put them to death and handed Bel over to Daniel, who destroyed both the idol and its temple. In that same region, there was also a massive dragon, or great serpent, that the Babylonians worshipped. The king said to Daniel, "You certainly cannot claim that this one is made of bronze. Look, he is alive. He eats and drinks. You cannot deny that he is a living God. So you must worship him." Daniel replied to the king, "I will worship the Lord my God, for he is the only living God. But if you give me permission, your majesty, I will kill this dragon without using a sword or a club." The king answered, "I give you permission." Then Daniel took pitch, fat, and hair, and boiled them together to make large cakes. He fed these to the dragon, which caused the creature to burst open. Daniel then said, "Look at the things you have been worshipping." When the people of Babylon heard what had happened, they were deeply offended and conspired against the king. They said, "The king has become a Jew. He has destroyed Bel, killed the dragon, and executed the priests." They went to the king and demanded, "Hand Daniel over to us, or we will destroy you and your entire family." When the king saw how much pressure they were putting on him and that he was trapped, he surrendered Daniel to them. They threw Daniel into a lion's den, where he remained for 6 days. There were 7 lions in the den. Normally, they were fed 2 human bodies and 2 sheep every day, but these were withheld so that the lions would be hungry enough to devour Daniel. Meanwhile, in Judea, there was a prophet named Habakkuk. He had prepared a stew and broken bread into a bowl and was heading out to the field to bring it to the harvesters. But an angel of the Lord said to Habakkuk, "Take the meal you are carrying to Babylon to Daniel, who is in the lion's den." Habakkuk replied, "Lord, I have never seen Babylon, and I don't know where the den is." Then the angel of the Lord took him by the crown of his head, carrying him by his hair with the speed of the Spirit. The angel set him down in Babylon, right over the den. Habakkuk called out, "Daniel, Daniel, take the meal that God has sent to you." Daniel said, "You have remembered me, O God. You have not abandoned those who seek you and love you." So Daniel got up and ate, and the angel of the Lord immediately returned Habakkuk to his own home. On the 7th day, the king went to the den to mourn for Daniel. When he looked inside, there sat Daniel. The king shouted with a loud voice, "You are great, O Lord, God of Daniel, and there is no other God besides you." He pulled Daniel out of the den and threw in those who had plotted his destruction. They were devoured by the lions instantly, right before the king's eyes.